Hello everyone, welcome to the developer journey, robo calculations and inference agent. This journey was conceived by Vishal Chahal, Manjula Hosoma, myself Arkeshwara Kumar and Ankit Malviya. The code repository for this journey is available at github.com/ibm/watson-now-robo. This journey talks about how do we integrate NavRobo with IBM cloud offerings like Watson Conversation Services and Data Science Experience to deliver real-time analysis on the financial data. We will take you through end-to-end steps in building an interactive interface between NavRobo, Watson Conversation API, and Data Science Experience. The capabilities of the Robo can be enhanced exponentially by integrating with the cloud offerings, and that is exactly what we are trying to achieve in this journey. When the reader has completed this journey, they will be able to understand how to establish the communication between NavRobo, Data Science Experience, Conversation APIs. They'll be able to create a chatbot using Watson Conversation. They'll be able to perform statistical analysis on a financial dataset using Jupyter Python Notebook on IBM Data Science Experience. Let's get started by reviewing the architecture diagram for this journey. The first step is where user will post the question to NavRobo, which will use its speech-to-text functionality to convert the speech into text and then initiates Node-RED starter and sends the text to Watson Conversation, which will in turn break the text into intent and entities and stores it in cloud and database to track the conversation. The intent and entities are sent across to Jupyter Notebook on Data Science Experience, where the generic functions using Python programming language will get executed on basis of the intents and entities sent from Watson Conversation Service. We are using object storage to store the data and then perform all the financial computation statistical analysis in the Jupyter Notebooks using that data. The Jupyter Notebook is powered by Spark, and the output from Jupyter Notebook is sent across to Node-RED Flow using WebSocket. The Node-RED Flow output is sent across to NavRobo, which will explain the analysis to the user. As you can see below, the steps are listed in a sequence which will tell us how the end-to-end journey can be accomplished using the architecture diagram. Moving ahead to the next section, which will talk about the components which are part of this journey. The first one would be NavRobo, which is a unique combination of mechanical engineering and software. It is a character made up of a multitude of sensors, motors, and softwares. The second one would be Node-RED, which is a programming tool for wiring together APIs and online services. The third one would be Watson Conversation API, which is used to build, test, and deploy chatbot applications. The next one would be Data Science Experience, which is used to analyze data using RStudio, Jupyter, and Python in a collaborative environment. The next one would be Bluemix Object Storage, which will provide an unstructured cloud data store to deliver cost-effective apps and services with high reliability. The last but not the least would be Jupyter Notebook, which is an open source web application that allows us to create and share documents that contain live codes, equations, visualizations, etc. Moving ahead to the next section, which is feature technologies, where we can see that data science, analytics, Python, and Jupyter Notebooks are part of feature technologies under this journey. Let's get started to review the steps to accomplish this journey. To begin with, the first step would be to sign up for IBM Bluemix. After clicking the sign up button, we will get a free account which is valid for a period of 30 days, which can be used to explore the complete Bluemix catalog. The next step is used to create Bluemix services, which is creating a Node-RED starter as provided in the instructions. We can just follow the instructions and then create the Node-RED starter application. The next step would be to create Watson Conversation Service, again by following the instructions which is given here, and then click on the service credentials and then view credentials and make note of the credentials for further use. We can also click on manage and then launch to launch the conversation workspace. Now we need to configure Watson conversation application. We have uploaded workspace.json file, and please go ahead and download that from conversation directory to local machine. Click on the import button on the top right hand side and upload the workspace.json from the local system. The workspace ID can be found by clicking on the context menu of the new workspace and select view details. We just have to make note of this workspace ID because it has to be keyed in the Node-RED flow at a later stage. After importing the workspace.json, we will be able to view the intents, entities, and dialogues for this particular journey. To begin with, the intent tab, as you can see, we have created different intents for average, bottom, max, min, and summation. And then we have created entities, which are nothing but attributes directly taken from the dataset. The entities are of two types. One is my entities, the second one is system entities. My entities is user defined and changes as per the dataset. System entities is system defined, as the name suggests it, and we are using sysdate and sysnumber from the system entities to recognize dates and numbers coming in the form of coming along with the text. The next stage would be to create a dialog. We are showing a sample example for max entity where the dialog has been created. For example, what's the maximum profit? The bot will ask for which product you would like to know the maximum profit. After the user keys in the input, it will ask for which country, and then after the input is given, then that would be taken as question complete, and the intents and entities will be sent across to Data Science Experience Jupyter Notebook for further processing. The next section is import the Node-RED flow. We have created a Node-RED flow JSON which has all the connectivity between the web application, the conversation API, the data science experience. Please go ahead and download the robotic AI agent workflow.json. We can open the Node-RED instance, the text editor, and copy the contents to clipboard, and then click on import, and then configure the conversation API credentials. We just have to double click on conversation node, follow the instructions mentioned here, and then key in the username, password, and workspace ID as we had made note of it earlier while creating the conversation service. The next stage would be to deploy the Node-RED flow button by clicking the deploy button on the top right hand side. This will make this Node-RED instance active. The next stage is to note the WebSocket URL from this Node-RED flow. This WebSocket URL is updated in the Data Science Experience Jupyter Notebook, which will ensure that the conversation service is connected with the Jupyter Notebook to exchange the information back and forth. We have also given an example of what would be a WebSocket URL. For example, myapp.lumix.net/ws-robo_webpage. In that WebSocket example, myapp.lumix.net would be the Node-RED based URL. You just have to keep that in mind and then move ahead to the next stage, which is sign up for Data Science Experience. After signing up, we will get two services, Spark and Object Store will be created in the Plumix account. And then we move ahead to create the notebook in the Data Science Experience. We just have to use the menu and select projects, and then default projects, and then add notebook, and then select from URL. We have already given the URL here. We have created the notebook which has all the functions for you to be explored. And then we hit the create notebook button, and the notebook is created in your Data Science Experience instance. The next step is to add the data. So we just have to use find and add data, look for the 10.1 icon and its files tab, and then we just have to click on browse, select the file, navigate to the folder where it has been saved, and then add it to the Data Science Experience for it to be read in the Data Science Experience notebook. The data file can be downloaded from ibm.com/community/analytics. The link is given here. We just have to change the file name from sales marketing profit cost CSV to data.csv before reading it in the assets. Please visit the site for terms and conditions for usage of data. This dataset is available for general purpose use. The next step is update the notebook with service credentials. We have to add the object storage credentials to the notebook. Please follow the instructions which is given here. We just have to select the cell below 2.1 under the notebook section, add your service credential for object storage section in the notebook. We have to update the credentials in the same format as given here. The next step is update the WebSocket URL in the notebook. In the cell 7 below expose integration point with the WebSocket client, update the WebSocket URL noted in section 5 in the start WebSocket listener function. This is the same URL which we had made note of earlier in the previous section. We just have to update the same here. This will ensure that the data science experience Jupyter Notebook is communicating with the Node-RED flow, which is connected to Watson conversation service. And then we have to start the WebSocket client, which will enable the session to exchange the information back and forth from conversation service to data science experience. The next section is run the notebook. When we run the notebook, the code in each cell is executed in the order from top to bottom. We have to execute it in the same format where the topmost cell is executed first, followed by the subsequent cells. This will ensure that all the dependencies and libraries which are needed for the functions to get executed are already in place, and there will be no problem with the execution of the subsequent cells. We can also select cells in our notebook, and you can run all below that will start executing from the first cell under the currently selected cell and then continue executing all the cells that follow. That is another way of running the notebook. So the last section would be results sent to the Node-RED flow. After all the cells are run in the notebook, we have the output in the data science experience Jupyter Notebook, which is sent across to the Node-RED flow through WebSocket. The WebSocket will again take the response from Node-RED flow and it will send it to NavRobo, which will explain the analysis to the user. We have given a sample here where the user will post the question, what is the highest profit of Capri Italy in 2007? For which the NavRobo response would be the highest profit of Capri Italy in 2007 is 310,000. So this is done on a real-time basis, and that is the beauty of this journey, where we have integrated NavRobo, we have enhanced its capabilities, we have used its feature of speech to text and then integrated with Watson conversation service, which is again further integrated with data science experience, and all of them are coming together using Node-RED to form a cognitive agent which can do statistical analysis on a real-time basis on a financial data set. Please visit this site for more information and more details about this journey. I will be handing over this to Vishal Chahal, who will be taking over the Robo Conversation part.
Okay, this is Vishal. Today I'm going to show you how do you configure the NowRobo choreography behavior as part of the Watson NowRobo journey. These steps are given from number 13 onwards. As part of this, the first step that we have to undertake is we have to update the NowRobo choreography behavior with service credentials and Node-RED URL. If you go through the steps here and the screenshot of the choreography shown, we have to open the Watson NowRobo project file. And in the project file, once we have opened it with choreography, we have to update the Python script boxes. What I'm going to show you now is I have cloned the GitHub repository for this journey on my local machine here. This is part of the journey folder structure. In the Watson NowRobo journey, you have choreography folder. In choreography folder, you have the Watson _now_robo folder. When you go there, you would see a .pml file. This is the choreography behavior project file. Click on that and open with choreography app. When you open with choreography app, by default the project will open and you would see the folder structure for the project on the top left pane. When you do that, you can click the folder structure and you would see behavior.xar file. That's the file you need to double click, and the behavior flow will open in the canvas. For this journey, the behavior flow for NowRobo is such that when you touch the tactile head sensors of the NowRobo, it will record your sound and it will send that sound to Watson speech to text service, and when it gets text as a return from the speech to text service, it will post the text to Node-RED URL. So what we need to do here is to click the Watson STT Python box first, and you would notice that when we're making a post request to Watson speech to text, we have the user ID and the password combination that needs to be updated in the auth parameter here. So that's the first step we need to do. So once you have done that for Watson speech to text credentials, you would next click the post to Node-RED Python box. In that, when you scroll down, you would see a variable called URL. This is where you would actually update the Node-RED URL that you would have set up based on the journey steps in the README file. And that Node-RED URL is what you would update here. Once you have done the updation for both Watson speech-to-text credentials as well as the Node-RED URL, you will save the project, and then you can connect to a NowRobo. In this case, I'm going to connect to a real NowRobo. You can see here that there are two NowRobos shown here. The first one running on MacBook is a virtual robo. The second one, now local, is actually the real NowRobo. I'm going to connect to that. And once the connection has been established, I will try and undertake the next step of the journey. So as of now, we have completed the step of choreography behavior being updated with service credentials and Node-RED URL. In the next step, we will transfer the behavior to the NowRobo. So we go back there and we see that we are connected to the NowRobo. We can see the applications that are running or the other behaviors that are running on the NowRobo. I can see the NowRobo sending me messages in the background. What we can do now is we go back to the connections menu, and there you would see a submenu, upload to the robo and play. So we click this to transfer the behavior files to the robo. And as soon as that is done, you would see the behavior is transferred to the robo as well as it is running. As soon as you see the red square, it means the behavior is running on the NowRobo. You can also check the behavior name here. This is similar to the project that is there in the journey. In the next step, we're going to show how you do an interaction with the NowRobo, and that will actually run the notebook, the Jupyter notebook at the backend, do the data analysis and insights, and send it back to the NowRobo, and NowRobo will interact with you using that. Let us now test the journey running on a real NowRobo. The behavior has been transferred to the NowRobo. Let me touch the tactile sensor on the front of the head and see if the NowRobo can give the insights. What is the highest profit of Capri, Italy in 2007?
The highest profit at Capri, Italy in 2007 is 310,000.
There you see, it actually sent the speech to text conversion to Node-RED, which in turn sent to a WebSocket, which in turn was picked up by the Jupyter notebook, which did the analysis and which sent the analysis insight back to the Node-RED, from where it came back to the robo, and the robo did the interaction and the answer. Thank you.